Let me tell you a story, one that happened many seasons ago in the village of Mbale. This is not a tale for children to laugh over by the fireside. No, this is a story of fate, of warning, and of the dangers of following dreams too closely. The boy's name was Kwame, the only son of Baba Kojo, the village blacksmith. Kwame was a quiet boy, hard-working and respectful, never one to cause trouble. From a young age, he learned the trade of his father, molding iron into tools, sharpening machetes for farmers, and making spears for hunters. But as the years passed, something troubled him deeply. Kwame had reached the age of marriage, yet no woman in Mbale stirred his heart. One night, under the full gaze of the moon, Kwame had a dream unlike any other. In it, he saw a woman standing by the great baobab tree near the river. Her skin was the color of roasted groundnuts, and her eyes held the depth of the night sky. She wore a red and white wrapper embroidered with patterns he had never seen before. She was beautiful, yes, but there was something else about her, a presence that called to him as if she were waiting for him to find her. When he woke, his heart beat like the festival drums of a harvest. He told no one, not even his mother, but that dream settled in his bones like a prophecy. For weeks, he searched Mbale, hoping to see her face in the crowd of women at the market or among the dancers during the moon festival. But she was nowhere to be found. Then one evening, an old traveler came to the blacksmith shop. The man had a long white beard and carried a staff made of ebony wood. As Kwame sharpened a hunting knife for him, he listened to the old man speak of distant villages. "There is a place beyond the river, past the hills where the sun sets," the traveler said, "a village where the people weave the finest cloth. Their women wear red and white, stitched with patterns like the paths of ants." Kwame's heart jumped. Could this be where she lived? The very next morning, before the sun had fully risen, Kwame packed a bag, tied his best sandals, and set off on the journey alone. The road was long, passing through dense forests and wide open plains. He crossed rivers where crocodiles lay still as stones, and he slept beneath trees, listening to the howls of distant hyenas. But his heart pushed him forward. After many days, he arrived at the village the old man had spoken of, Nsumu. It was a beautiful place, full of weavers whose hands moved like magic, turning cotton into fabrics fit for kings. He walked through the village, searching. Then, by the great baobab tree at the edge of the river, he saw her, the woman from his dream. Her name was Adwoa, daughter of the village healer. When Kwame approached her, she looked at him with the same recognition that he felt. They spoke, and their words fit together like the pieces of a carved wooden puzzle. It was as if they had known each other long before this moment. Adwoa was kind and wise beyond her years. She spoke of herbs that could heal the sick and spirits that walked among the living. She told him stories of her people, of the great weaver spirit who taught them the patterns in their cloth. Kwame listened, his heart growing heavy with love. By the time the sun had set, he knew he had to marry her. But fate is never so simple. When he met Adwoa's father, the old healer looked at him for a long time before speaking. "You say you dreamed of my daughter?" he asked. Kwame nodded. The old man sighed. "Dreams are tricky things, my son. They show us what we wish to see, but not always what is true." Kwame did not understand. He was sure this was his destiny, but the healer only gave him a task. Stay here for 3 moons, he said. Learn our ways. Work with our people. If by the end of that time your heart still calls for her, then you may marry her. It was a strange request, but Kwame agreed. Days turned into weeks. He helped the men weave cloth and learned the names of healing plants from Adwoa's father. He watched Adwoa move through the village, helping the sick, laughing with children. He saw how the people respected her, how the elders listened when she spoke. And the more he watched, the more he realized something unsettling. She was kind to him, yes. She listened to his words, smiled at his jokes, but she never looked at him the way he looked at her. One night, as the village prepared for a festival, Kwame overheard 2 women whispering. He follows her like a lost goat, one of them said. The other chuckled. Does he not know? Adwoa is promised to Kofi, the chief's son. Kwame's heart stopped. He had been so sure. The dream had felt so real. But the truth was, before him, Adwoa had already chosen another. That night, he went to the old healer. You knew? Kwame said, his voice filled with pain. The old man nodded. I knew. Then why let me stay? The healer placed a wrinkled hand on his shoulder. Because sometimes we must walk the full journey to understand why the path was never ours. Kwame left Nsumu the next morning. The road back to Mbale felt longer than before, but his heart was lighter. He had learned a lesson few ever do. Dreams may guide us, but they do not decide our fate. When he returned home, his mother wept with joy, and his father embraced him as a man who had faced the world and returned wiser. Years later, Kwame did marry, but not because of a dream. He married a woman whose laughter made his spirit dance, whose hands worked beside his in the blacksmith shop, whose presence brought him peace. And from that day on, whenever a young man spoke of a woman he saw in a dream, Kwame would only smile and say, Go, follow the dream, and may you learn what I learned. The end.